So I just changed, or I didn't change, I actually did the wheel bearing check and look at the wheels, look at the tires, grease, whatever, you take the brake apart, make sure there's enough wear left on the pad. Typical thing you do on a annual inspection, 100-hour, or any sort of progressive, if you have to do the landing gear. And one of the things you have to do, of course, is once you put the nut back on, that wheel nut sets the tension on the bearings. And of course, these small aircraft, they literally don't give you a torque. They actually just tell you go until it's tight, which means it causes drag on the wheel, and then back it off and put the cotter pin in, and then you take it, shake it top to bottom, and that's how you can tell. Because if there's no play in the bearings, it's tight, and that's the way you want it. But one of the things you do after that is you give it a spin, like I keep showing, and it keeps stopping. Note, look really close. I'm going to zoom in here at that brake caliper. Just watch it. See how that's moving side to side? That is something that isn't too common on brake discs on airplanes that I've ever seen. Obviously you can see these like wicked thin, but aircraft brake discs are much thinner than automotive brake discs, because aircraft in the little piston sizes that these are much lighter than your car is. They have thousands of pounds less, and they're not getting used as hard because you don't drive airplanes down hills with the wheels on the ground, or tow trailers, or all the other things that makes the vehicle brakes that you have. But that disc, so you can even catch this even better. Notice there's a change in the distance. That's a warp disc, no good, because minor little variations like that, when you're touching down and you go on the brakes, things like that, it can cause a shake, it can cause a shimmy, it can cause a locked up wheel, and they'll smoke through the tire faster than you can imagine with just the slightest little hesitation like that. Especially on a later aircraft that's still moving, because the wing is still generating lift until it is finally down to the point where it literally can't generate any lift. Slightest little headwind on these airplanes, though, they bounce around. And that bouncing around is because it's causing lift to a minor extent. And a minor little bit of lift can cause this wheel to slide and skid and burn through and flat spot real quick. So you want to have nice true brake discs, so that's always a good check. Also make sure your brake isn't cocked. I've seen people get these pins in the sliders right here, and when they tighten it down, like you couldn't turn the wheel because it cocked and it wasn't floating like that, like it's supposed to float freely. These bolts are tight, and this is supposed to float freely on that, so there's no resistance until you step on the brake pedal.